Welcome to LEAP 2025. Our today's topic is Business Transformation Management. We would like to show you how you can empower your business transformation through AI. I'm Dilara Tagge and I'm a business process consultant at Westernacher.
And I'm Brian Helker, Business Transformation Management Consultant at Westernacher. Before we dive into the topic of AI in context of business transformation management, let's first set the scene. Initial point I want to make is just look at what is business transformation management and why do we believe it's so important. Business transformation means different things to different people. And that's also because the reasons for transformation might differ and the objectives of those transformations might differ a lot. But the underlying mechanism, the underlying capability you need to build to deal with these transformations is pretty much the same thing. So behind me are some examples of what business transformation management or business transformation might look like in your organization, how it shows its face in your organization. But these are just examples out of many. Traditional approaches to dealing with these transformations can be a little bit overwhelming and feel a little bit like what you see on the slide behind me. You're scrambling for the information you need to sort of like start this transformation journey, looking for information in different places, trying to validate the information that you find to see if it holds true. There'll also be information you seem not to be able to find. Maybe it's because it doesn't exist, or maybe you just can't find it, so you'll rediscover what you have already rediscovered before. Out of all of this, you'll try to stitch together one picture to make sure that you can sort of like get the whole organization behind your vision and rally the organization and steer the transformation. This is, of course, both time-consuming, it's complex, it's costly, it's quite frankly overwhelming and not very sufficient. The vision we have for how you manage the transformation is a capability based on a digital twin of your organization. One where you always have the as-is state ready. You know what your organization looks like, you know what your architecture looks like, you know your processes, so you can discuss your current reality from different perspectives and be together in making the decisions. So it becomes your joint decisions, your joint solutions, your shared vision, rather than that of one or just a few people in the organization. So this is our vision, being able to sort of like look at this from different angles together, decide on a way forward, be able to sort of like look into the details, but also see the whole picture, the total picture. That's one aspect. The next aspect is just having a quick peek, a very high level peek at the business transformation management toolchain from SAP, because this is what makes that digital twin possible. So it's not the solution in itself, but it's a key enabler to making it possible. This is the solution portfolio of the business transformation management toolchain of SAP. If you've seen this depiction of this before, it's because it's very much inspired by content from René de Daniel from SAP. So it's just to give that brief overlook of how these applications sort of like interact to support a transformation. Initially, you would want in LeanIX to have the architecture view in place. Part of that, or a very central part of that, is your application portfolio. So discovering what portfolio you have available to support your business today. LeanIX has a lot of different good, you could say, capabilities for discovering that. For SaaS applications and also for, you could say, crowdsourcing amongst your colleagues, the information they have around your portfolio. But for your SAP landscape, we have an interface to Cloud ALM so that we can actually discover that automatically and get that into LeanIX. Once that's in place, we can enrich that, of course, with more context, the business context of who's using which applications, what's the purpose of these applications, and so on. On the other hand side, using value accelerators, we can also get an insight into our current processes on the business side in Signavio. What this means is that we can see what kind of process we have, what are the variants that we have, how are they performing, and where do we have opportunity for improvement at our hand. This sort of like lays out the foundation so that we all have an understanding of where this journey starts. On top of that, we can look into our target, our future state, so the target architecture, and we could get inspiration from reference content in LeanIX. The same goes for Signavio. The important part is the link between these two so that we have a shared look at our future in terms of applications, business capabilities, processes, and data. This means that we are not inventing a new technical future and a new business process future in isolation, but together so that we can mitigate any discrepancies that we may find in our design of our future. And once we decided what we want to achieve, in LeanIX, we'll start building the roadmap for that. Okay, so what does our transition look like? How do we get from A to B? And once that transition plan is in place, we'll take that back into Cloud ALM so that it can be managed as a project and be broken down into tasks. Same for our new processes that might go through an approval process. And the actual solution implementation also is backed by Cloud ALM. So now, as we start to roll that out, we'll operate it in Cloud ALM, but just as importantly, we have WalkMe to sort of like help us get the adoption that we want to see in our organization. Great solutions mean nothing if we don't get the adoptions that we want. So WalkMe will help us automate everything that makes sense to automate. It will also help us guide our users, to understand the new processes and the new applications that we put in front of them, even guiding across applications when processes span multiple applications. It will also help us have a look at the discrepancies between the intended use and the actual use of these applications. So this is how it helps us from initial understanding of where we are, where we want to be, how to get there, and then get the adoption in place. Now, let's talk about AI. How do we leverage AI and how do we manage AI when we do transformations? We'll do that by looking at these applications from the portfolio individually, starting with LeanIX. If this is new, going from a more traditional enterprise architecture approach with different diagrams, different architecture documents, into an inventory and metadata-driven approach to enterprise architecture, of course, you first need to fill up your inventory. We already just talked about different discovery capabilities, especially around the applications, but of course you can't discover everything. And there's also things like capabilities and so on that are more difficult to discover. But you may already have that documented in other artifacts. And this is where Inventory Builder helps us. It will help us analyze that, take it apart, prepare it, and load it into our inventory, including all the dependencies and connections between the different items. Great productivity booster if this transformation is also a shift to a different paradigm of how do you do enterprise architecture. Once you have your inventory in place, there's also an interface for interacting with this inventory in natural language. So searching, filtering, and some basics in terms of manipulating that inventory is available via an AI prompt. AI-assisted text and translation. This is when you go to an individual item of the inventory, for example, a fact sheet describing an application or a business capability. This will help summarize what is this item actually and what's the context around it, what's it tied into, so that it's easier for people to sort of like understand what I'm looking at in the architecture. It will also help use that summary or whatever to actually update the description of an item in the inventory. So a lot of item level features here. And then finally, the AI generated context, that is, you could say, task support by AI. So if somebody creates a task or raises a question for you in LeanIX in context of a fact sheet, this will help you understand that task and how to solve it. It also goes for more technical tasks for the administrators. If, for example, we want to integrate LeanIX with, say, ServiceNow, we want to understand what are the tables and fields on both sides, what is a logical mapping of that would make sense. This will help you do that mapping at a field level. So getting your inventory in place, maintaining, refining it, there's a lot of help to get you productive here. This thing, the governance and adoption, is a little bit different. It's not so much about productivity, but it's more about smart ways of approaching AI and rolling out AI in your organization and managing that. So first thing is planning, where should we actually start to take advantage of AI? It could be looking at your business capability map based on, you could say, the opportunity at hand and the risk associated with it. Where should we start adopting AI first? And then there's the governance side of this one. That means, where do we have applications that actually have AI capabilities built in? Which ones of these are actually enabled right now so that we are making use of it, and what's potential? for later that sits there. And also, of course, what's that based on? What are the underlying large language model, etc., so that we can manage that and govern that over time. Finally, to round this off, more recent features and upcoming features of AI that will help you be even more productive and even better in governing AI in the organization. First one is AI Copilot. Very much like the inventory prompt, just with superpowers. It extends way beyond the inventory. So you can actually use natural language to interact with diagrams and reports and action items that you have in here. It's conversational, and it even allows you to extend that conversation to go out and reach out to colleagues by, for example, creating tasks for them inside LeanIX. So very, very powerful. Then there's architecture guidance also on its way here. So that means it will be able to actually analyze your inventory now that it sits there as structured information. So it can serve up recommendation, for example, where it sees possibilities for, say, application rationalization, or it might be due to technical depth. There might be places where you would want to modernize your architecture. So recommendation coming out of actually analyzing your inventory. This one, the Agent Hub, is very much an extension of the, you could say, governance features. This means that we're not just looking at large language models and features in our applications. We will be building AI agents and rolling those out in the near future. And of course, these needs to be managed as well. We need to know which ones we have, why do we have them, what do they interact with. And this is the chance to do that. Of course, it doesn't stop here, right? The benefits of this just keep stacking up. An important thing here is just to know that tapping into and utilizing a data-driven inventory like LeanIX to work with your architecture is sort of like the prerequisite for being able to tap into these things. It will make your, you could say, enterprise architecture function much more light on its feet, much more collaborative. And of course, that will benefit your business transformation capability in the end, since enterprise architecture is a big piece of that. That's it for me, so back to you, Dilara.
Brian has already shown you how you can use AI with LeanIX. And now we would like to continue with business process management with SAP Signavio. SAP Signavio has launched the generative AI functions. So what does this mean for you? On the first side, it helps you to get recommendation in how you can measure your processes and also the performance. But also it's providing you some recommendation features, what you can change and how you can optimize your processes. How does it look like? Like this. You can see on the left side that you have the business process flow, classic in a way that you see the activities, the start and the end function. But now, where is the new function for you? On the right side, you can see the recommendations from SAP Signavio. What is in for you? The benefits of the generative AI is that it inserts use from recommendation based on the SAP practices. It automatically shows you where you can change your process, how you can optimize it, and it's based on each process step. It's also referring to your KPIs, and it's also showing you which KPIs you can additionally add into your processes to make them more efficient, and also link it then to the standards of SAP. We want to reduce our customized processes and go to the standards SAP is already providing. To sum up, SAP Signavio and Process AI. Where are the strengths and limitations? First, you have the integration. So Process AI is not a standalone app. So you basically link the Process AI with your SAP Signavio and link it directly to your processes. Second, natural language input. Process AI uses simple text comments, making it accessible support for more input type in its development. Third, process repository creation. The model is centralized with all the process information, so the process steps, the KPIs, and the relevant roles. This is then the knowledge base, enabling AI-driven optimization and diagram creation. So you have on one side the optimization of the processes, but it also helps you to create your models. Fourth, informed by SAP experience. The processes and the generative AI function are based on a standardized model. And those are built on a 50+ years of SAP experience. So it limits your customization and helps you to make your processes more in a standard way, as user-specific data can't yet be trained into it. So it also helps you to make your processes a bit more efficient. Now we had on one side the process architecture, then the process management, but what now? Now we are coming to the process execution and the enablement with SAP Cloud ILM and WalkMe. With Cloud ILM, you're able to unlock the value throughout your process execution. So you really drive transparency, optimization, and agility with SAP Cloud ILM. Cloud ILM provides the harmonized implementation experience for the intelligence enterprise, covering all relevant SAP solutions for all customers. So on first side, you have the design, then you build up the processes and also the system, and then you're able to test it and finally develop the system as needed, but always based on the standards. Coming through WalkMe. Unlock your value throughout your operational excellence and drive the transformation through the digital enablement with WalkMe. You have on one side the fast time to insight, so you really have the processes with SAP Signavio. You are able to show which kind of process steps you have and design the processes as they are currently are or maybe to be. And on the other side, you have the system, the enterprise architecture with SAP LeanIX, so the fast time to adapt. But something is missing. Right, the people. Without the people, you're not able to transform the business as is needed. WalkMe helps you to create tasks for you, but also to cover your tasks to make it possible to have a great business transformation. We have now shown you all the tools and all the functions they are providing, especially with the focus on AI. But why now Westernacher? It's really important to have a conductor helping you to do the business transformation, because the transformation doesn't orchestrate itself. So we really help you to put all the tools you have, so LeanIX, Signavio, WalkMe and Calm, put them all together, put your team members together and make it possible that the tools are set up in the way they are matching to your business processes. And now it's up to you. Get in touch with us. Your contact details are here on the right side. Let's make transformation happen together.